Welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast, a production from Empowering Pumps and Equipment as the voice of the pump and related equipment industry. Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 124 of the Empowering Industry Podcast. I'm your host, Charli Matthews, and I just want to thank you for choosing us every week. Please do us a favor and give us a rating and review. That helps us to show up in the podcast platforms. And always stay connected with us at Empowering Pumps or using that hashtag Empowering Industry Podcast. Okay, so before I get into our updates, I want to just tell you a little bit about what I'm excited about. First, I'm alive. This is my 1 year anniversary. I guess July 8th was my 1 year anniversary for open heart surgery. And so I'm a survivor. I'm super pumped about that. So you can kind of see what I did there. If you haven't read my blog yet, please do so. You'll get to know me and my scar a little bit better. And it's just part of my healing, must be showing it off and telling my story. So I've done that, and I hope that you will check it out. I also just want to encourage you to take care of yourself and to be your own advocate. If you don't feel right, just keep going to the doctor, keep getting that baseline test, and research and really look for those resources you need. Everybody needs a checkup, so make sure that you're doing that. I can't tell you that enough. Also, if you need any resources, please just get in touch with me. The Heart Association has a lot of things that I didn't know about, and so I can point you in the right direction. Also, I'm really excited about my red jacket. It just got back from Africa or Paris or wherever it's been traveling for the last month and a half. And so I'm really excited to have it back, ready to get back on the road. And our first trip is going to be to Texas. I'm going to be connecting with our advisory board for Epic and touring the facility with them and just kind of looking through what we want the layout and the offerings to be. There's so many different choices. If you haven't taken a look yet, please look at all the lab choices out there because we will be doing tours during Epic, and just being able to see them in person is phenomenal. I know there's a lot of pictures and videos, but it's a completely different experience. And we'll be having scavenger hunts along with our tour. So it'll be a lot of fun. The other thing I want to let you know about with Epic is the awards that we're going to have that evening. So Epic is going to be November the 14th and 15th. So the evening of the 15th, we're going to do these award giveaways. And the award nominations are in all these categories. It can be Engineer of the Year, Operator of the Year, Maintenance and Reliability Professional of the Year, Manufacturer's Rep or Distributor of the Year, Leadership in Supply Chain. We have heard so much about that, so we wanted to add that to the list. We also have Tradesperson of the Year, Social Media Marketer of the Year, Podcast Guest of the Year. So there's still time if you want to be my guest. And then Emerging Leader of the Year and Advocate or Industry Advocate. So if you're out there, posting, hopefully your community will be the one to nominate you. But I want you all to be thinking about what is that person that you can nominate and give recognition to. We know that our industry, the pump industry for sure, has some remarkable people that need to be nominated for one of these categories. And if you've been listening to the podcast, that we do the Industry Person of the Week every week. And so you have opportunity that way to start seeing if you can tell your story or have somebody nominate you to tell your story. There's still time for that. And we will be voting on the Industry Person of the Year and giving them an award as well. Okay. Another thing I wanted to bring up for you is Reliable Plant. This is one of the events coming up in July. I'll personally be there on July the 26th. That's going to be where I have an hour or so for the podcast. We're going to do, Empowering Industry Podcast live. So I'm really excited about that. And then we're going to moderate a panel. Same day, we're going to talk about building and sustaining a strong reliability culture. And if I have learned anything about the reliability culture, it is that it's ongoing and you need to really be building it all the time. And so I look forward to moderating this panel and some really great panelists. Megan Johnson, the plant manager at Blue Buffalo, Garrett Bapp is the Senior Technical Service Advisor at Petrochem Canada. And then Nathan Wright, the President of Transformational Performance Solutions, are going to be our panelists. So excited to be there and support them. The other thing is Empowering Women in Industry will have a space there too. That's going to be the next day, July the 27th at 11 a.m. I think that's Eastern time. I'm pretty sure that is right. But we're going to have, in person there at Reliable Plant. And we're going to, call it Empowering Women in Industry. And that session, I'm really looking forward to meeting the women that are in the industry, working in the maintenance and reliability fields, and then, the allies that are there to support the women in industry. It's always wonderful to see in our audience, everybody participating and just growing together. So take a look at that and see if you can attend in July. If you can't, I'll be, of course, doing a podcast, so I'll tell you all about it. But then, lastly, I guess I'll talk about Empowering Women 2022. That is October the 13th. And there are still plenty of ways to get involved as far as the sponsor, but we are out of in-person speaking opportunities. There are many other ways to get involved. We hope that you will join us there for sure. So early bird registration is open for Empowering Women in Industries 2022 Conference, Awards Gala, and Fashion Show. It's going to be amazing, and I hope you will join us. Okay, let's jump over to our industry interview. And I loved this interview. I'll just say that it was super cool. This is Anthony Liu, and he is the Senior Business Development Manager at Infinitum Electric. He's been there over 18 years, lots of experience in sales, engineering, leadership roles. But he talks about his time at NASA, NASA's Mission Control Center, and that was at the Johnson Space Center. And I'm just really fascinated by him and kind of his story. I won't give it all to you, but he's just a curious, engineer-minded problem solver who loves to build relationships with people. He has like this infectious energy and really wants to help, create a more efficient world for us. And so I love seeing this. I love this story. So without further delay, here's your interview. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast. I'm your host, Charli Matthews, and I have a great guest with me today. I am so excited because we've kind of been going back and forth trying to, have time together to be able to share this podcast with y'all. And I'll just start with Anthony, if you will just introduce yourself to our listeners.
Sure. Hi, thank you for having me. I'm Anthony. I'm a Taiwanese American. My parents are from Taiwan and immigrated here in the early 80s. I have a background in aerospace engineering from the University of Texas in Austin. Out of school, I worked in mission control at the NASA Johnson Space Center during that final stretch of the space shuttle program. There, I was part of the Robo Mission Control Group that was responsible for designing and doing the robotic maneuvers and procedures used to build a space station in orbit. And we also supported real-time things. And we also supported real-time ops during space shuttle missions in the control center. So our ultimate goal there really was to complete assembly of the ISS, the International Space Station, which I'm proud to say we accomplished. And then when that shuttle program ended, I moved across the world and did a short stint as a Navy contractor on Guam for a couple of years, and then found myself back in Houston, where I had the opportunity to either further my education in aerospace engineering or pursue my second love of business at an electric motor company. I ultimately chose the latter, but that's who I am. And really what I do here is I found that my hybrid experience from space ops to government contract work to B2B sales it all has a common parallel of like this cross-functional collaboration to achieve a larger goal. So this is where I thrive. I love being able to use my technical knowledge and ability to connect with different personalities and functions to achieve win-win situations and further company growth.
Well, everybody knows why I wanted you to be on here as a guest. Super cool background. We all are fascinated by it, and you do have that personality too of just you meet you, and you're just so open and sharing that knowledge and just sharing kind of who you are. So I really love that too. So I'm going to dig in a little bit, and I really am interested in why you chose aerospace engineering from the start.
Oh, okay. Well, as a kid, my family would often go like road trip and camping, and I remember like one of my favorite memories is waking up on the floor of our red Aerostar minivan. My sister was on the bench, and in those days, safety wasn't as big of a concern. Anyways, so it's in the middle of the night on one of the late night drives, and I woke up, and my first view out the window were these like brilliant specks of lights, and I thought I was still dreaming. But obviously, what I was seeing were these millions and millions of stars in the night sky, and I think that was a pivotal moment, and it was one of the catalysts for really my infatuation with space, galaxy, the universe. I remember seeing the Milky Way from our backyard in Sugar Land, Texas, where I grew up, and before it expanded and had all this light pollution, we could actually see it in the night sky. And another favorite memory was that comet Hale-Bopp. I think it was visible in the night sky for a good amount of time. So I grew up in the 90s, like prior to all this social media craze. So at night, it was one of the things I did. I would go to the backyard and just stare up into the night sky. Even in college, I drive out Austin, Texas, where it's real dark in 71. I'd lay it on top of my car and just stare for like an hour and two. It was like meditative for me and really got me through some rough times. So from an early age, I was really intrigued by these big questions we have, and knowing that we know so little of what's out there is just so fascinating, interesting still today for me. So, anyways, when the
Now,
time came to decide the educational routes I wanted to take, I chose business as a practical choice and aerospace as my passionate choice. So ultimately, aerospace engineering was my major, and I minored in business.
mhm. Yeah, so that's a great story, and I'm just wondering, do you follow the satellite now? In the space station. Do you?
Oh
There's
yeah,
probably an app for that, right? That you can
there
just follow
is.
along and see where it
Yeah,
goes.
it can. They have sometimes it goes over the night sky, so you can track it and see the satellites, and you can see the International Space Station. It looks like a little star tracking across
Yeah.
the sky. So it's cool.
Yeah, so you were a part of that, and now you're a part of our industry. And so tell us where you work now and kind of what you're doing there in this business development role, which is not just a business development role traditionally. I've already seen that, but you tell us, kind of about your company now.
Sure. So let me back up here and kind of talk about what this journey, how it came from, where I was before and how that led to where I'm at right now. Um, so working at NASA was definitely an experience though. Over there, I had imposter syndrome. The people there were just so freaking smart. Like especially in this robotics group I worked in, we had folks that could come in and just easily grasp all these the complexities of this intricate system we were working on. So my favorite parts of working there is supporting astronaut training sessions in the Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory, which is the largest pool I think it's the largest pool in the world. It houses a mock-up of the International Space Station. It has working robotic arms, and astronauts go in there to simulate spacewalks because it kind of gives them that feeling of weightlessness. That and operating cameras and Canadian robotic arms for mission control during live operations and missions. I can say that I moved something in space, so I think that was pretty cool.
That's really
But really,
cool.
my proudest accomplishment there is designing the robotic procedures for space shuttle mission, this STS 127 2JA, which was at that time and might still be the most robotically intensive flight with multiple module handoffs and robotically supported EVAs, spacewalks. So my procedures I designed installed this Japanese EF porch, which houses a bunch of replaceable modules for science experiments. This module officially completed the build of the ISS and essentially allowed NASA to finally retire the space shuttles. But that also meant NASA no longer needed so many robotics and operational personnel and only retained like a really skeleton crew of controllers to maintain the ISS, at least from the robotics side. But the mission controllers that are still there that they retained are, they're the lead cream of the crop. Some of the most gifted operators I've seen. But I also learned how political that business was and probably still is. A lot has changed since I left there. I remember getting in trouble for like holding up a hi mom and dad sign in our flight control picture. One is taken for like each shift during the mission operations. And if we remember the Mars rover landings, it was very well televised. They had a guy on there with like this really cool mohawk, a bunch of trinkets all over the place. That was really frowned upon previously in my time. So I've seen NASA kind of pivot to this more, cool social media friendly image and culture. And I think it's a great move, especially to stoke that interest in this next generation. But when I was there, the culture was still super stiff and traditional, which was a large part of why I made the decision to leave. So around that same time, I had the opportunity to move across the world to a tiny little island in Micronesia called Guam, which is also a U.S. territory. They call they call it a tip of the spear, where America's Day begins due to the Air Force and Navy bases, and I think they're bringing a Marine base there. But living there for a couple of years, it kind of provided me perspectives I don't think I would have gotten had I stayed stateside. A few being real estate is fun, don't fight with long hair, and not everybody loves America and thinks it's the greatest country in the world, but that's a whole other discussion. So this opportunity, I ended up going separate directions. I found myself longing for home and missing my family. So after a while, I returned back to Houston. Um, at that time, I had a growing interest in business and entrepreneurship. But I was also working on furthering my education. I was studying for the GRE, and I actually took it and ended up getting into the school over in Daytona Beach, Embry-Riddle. But I came back and I was really thinking and focusing more on the business entrepreneur side of things. My dad comes from, he's a businessman and he's always been in the raw materials, plastics, and chemical industry. Mom was pivotal in the expansion of Houston's Chinatown area through her role as a lending officer at one of the largest private banks out there. And I really always had this goal to launch my own business one day. So when the time came to say, all right, the decision came, I was like, all right, do I go engineering, further my education, or do I continue on the business route? Ultimately, I chose business. And I believe that crucial part of that was trying to learn how a successful business works from the inside out. And I found a great company that provided me the latitude to do so. So under a great mentor, Ted Liang, and one of the best businessmen I know, his father, Frank Liang, I worked at Telco Intercontinental for, close to a decade. So Telco specializes in providing various different types of motors and components to a bunch of different industries. My role there started in product management and sales engineering, but then I quickly became entranced with that B2B sales cycle, and I found I excelled at building relationships with customers. And so Telco gave me the opportunity to create and launch a product line that became one of the premier options for fractional EC motors in the HVAC and pump industries. So my first business baby was Telco Green, which I'm still very proud of today. And my next business baby is Infinitum's pump standard product line, which is coming soon. Which is brings me back to the question that you originally asked about Infinitum Electric. So I know I kind of went on a tangent there, but
Oh, I
I
love
felt like
that
it's
tangent. Are you
important
kidding?
to bring me up to
Yeah,
the date of where I'm at now.
that's right. And you did learn so much out there in Guam. I mean, anytime you travel outside of where you're from, your hometown or outside of the country, you definitely get just you grow. I mean, that's the best way to say it. Your knowledge grows, your network grows, and your perspective on life. It's just really remarkable. So I am glad you had that, and I do think that you or we're going to go to an innovative company, like that would have been your choice, right? You have so much of that knowledge and advancing of knowledge around you. So I think when I met this company, I was like, wow, like this is brand new. How is the industry going to take this
Yeah.
and kind of move it to the next level? So the campaign y'all are using right now. Pumps Made Perfect. I can kind of go back to seeing this for the first time and thinking, how is this even going to connect to a pump? So, tell me, what is it like working for this innovative company? Then,
Oh, my goodness, like I have to say it's literally amazing. Backing up a little bit to give a baseline, at NASA, it's a large company. You could see the red tape and bureaucracy that comes with government work. Telco is a family-run company, over 30 years, small, medium-sized business. It's ran on an effective but smaller crew and more like, tightly managed resources. Infinitum has, hands down been the best place I've ever worked. Not only are the people intelligent, helpful, they're down to earth, humble, and, they get shit done. I've never had more fun, working and been more productive. The culture, is absolutely amazing. The product you saw, it speaks for itself. And I think you'll find this if you ask anybody at Infinitum that we're each empowered by our management and given that trust and respect to go and do our jobs. One of my favorite parts of working at Infinitum is our in-house expertise. We have some should I say seasoned individuals who are truly experts in the field. Just a shout out a couple. Apollo is our VP of Tech. He came from Tico Westinghouse and has a wealth of experience. Rich is our VFD expert up in Spokane, Liberty Lake location. We have Michael Gray, our CEO, who's making sure that we can support our customers' increasing demand in this current crazy supply chain climate. And of course, our founder and CEO, Ben, he's such a great leader. He always cracking jokes and he brings this easygoing, but let's get it done positivity to the culture. And not to mention, he and Bob Nesh. Bob Nesh is the VP of sales and he's number two at the company. And my boss, they really created an awesome team. There's just way too many people I want to name, but I'll just leave it at the people at Infinitum. They're brilliant. The product is innovative and groundbreaking, and we have a lot more innovation coming down the line. Combining that with what we're doing in the HVAC and pump industries, what we're doing in mobility and EV markets, it really gives me the confidence that we will actually make a sizable dent in reducing that carbon footprint of the world. And we're going to look good doing it because our product looks cool.
it definitely does. We've used that word "cool" a lot. I might have to put that in the title about this interview, but it really is. So we'll put the link so everybody can see the
Sure.
product. But it does reduce that carbon footprint. It's also about energy efficiency, which is really where we you know. I've seen and the industry itself really trying to work on that and be more
hmm
efficient. Anything else you want to talk about the product itself?
Yeah. So, in terms of energy efficiency, I feel like the pump industry, it was a little bit slower than HVAC air moving in terms of starting their green initiatives. But from what I've seen in these recent years, this industry is taking huge strides towards energy efficiency and really improving their product capabilities. So Infinitum Electric and myself, we recently became members of the Hydraulic Institute. And hey, well, that's where I met you, Charlie. And
That's right.
it's revealed all these efforts that are going into smarter, more capable, and an energy efficient industry. It also gave us visibility into the Department of Energy initiatives and the products that will affect and what's coming down the line. So, one thing that I learned after diving a little bit deeper into this industry is that many of these pumps in the field today are not variable speed. And thus, a lot of energy is being consumed and wasted by throttling down the system downstream to really match the demand. So end users obviously they have definitely considered adding variable speed capabilities, but they quickly find that it's cost prohibitive to like for example, install a VFD, variable frequency drive, with the material and labor costs to run the conduits to the motor, and needing to contract EEs for commissioning the product, and et cetera, and so on and so forth. Infinitum's motor plus VFD solution is really helping these end users by close coupling that VFD in the motor, and then also providing that highest efficiency, not only at the best efficiency point of the pump, but across that entire performance range. So when they're throttling down, when they're changing that speed lower, we still have a very good efficiency there. But not only that, but with the shorter motor length, we're going to be able to shrink the required install area for new builds, both in a vertical and horizontal installations. And then if you add in our technology's complete lack of iron, and we use 67% less copper material compared with traditional EC motors and AC induction motors, this gives us our OEMs and our end users that added benefit, of really sourcing an ethical, carbon neutral product to help in, their ESG and green initiatives. So I feel like it's more than just energy efficiency now. Like the smaller size and lighter weight allows us to pack more per shipment, use less energy in the transportation and logistics up and down the supply chain. And I know a number of end users that are now, they're not just talking about conserving energy and green initiatives. They're now analyzing their entire supply chain from soup to nuts and determining their overall carbon footprint, and then taking the measures to improve upon that. And Infinitum is a significant part of those efforts.
Yeah,
And one last thing
absolutely.
I'll
I can
say,
see that. Okay. I'm sorry. I was just going to say that it's definitely a sustainable solution.
yeah. And, and one last thing I'll mention in this vein is controllability is another aspect. So not only do we give OEMs the ability for variable speed with the solution without needing another VFD module, we can also feed system information back to a central controller via Modbus. So the operators can get insight into the pump's speed, the pump's power. They can get predictive insights from our temperature and vibration sensors that could drive preventative maintenance or give a heads up to the facilities manager that they may need to put immediate attention on this pump. So both the pump OEMs and the pump end users can increase their own value proposition and differentiators just by using our technology. And again, I'll say it, I think it's a pretty cool win-win scenario.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that, we're looking for something to help us kind of go to the next level here in the pump industry, and seeing that it was working in the HVAC industry and a lot of different areas, and knowing that you're working on EV is even more exciting, right? You just keep on looking for how you can solve problems for this industry and surrounding. So for the world, we'll just say you're solving problems for the world.
Yeah.
So anything
Now,
else that just,
speaking to that a
yeah.
little bit, I still have you talked about the EV and the mobility industries, and, I still have a dream of one day going into space and seeing these stars unfiltered by the atmosphere. And with Infinitum's like smaller size, lighter weight motor system, it's possible we may find a great use case for our technology in the commercial space industry. So if anyone in that industry is listening, then hit me up and let's bounce ideas. And Charlie, I just want to thank you, for bringing awareness and providing a platform for us industry folks to communicate to the public. So thank you for what you are doing. It's so important, and thank you for
Well, your
inviting me
passion
onto your
is,
podcast.
yeah, for sure. And your passion is so clear for this industry, for it. I mean, the story tells you and really affects people and how they remember you and how things get done and how business gets done. The story that you have as a kid into where you are now is just remarkable, and it does kind of excite that energy that you need for even working in that space industry. I think okay, if y'all are listening, I always I have a story with Bethany that she's like, "What kind of influencer would you want to be?" And I'm like, "Richard Branson," and so
Cool.
we joke about that all the time, that looking for different ways to insert your passion into business. You've definitely done that along the way. You're doing it and doing a great job of, bringing our industry the knowledge that it's needed to kind of think outside the box. Think outside the huge, gigantic footprint that people are leaving today and what that could look like. And it's as easy as really looking at your product and your passionate story that you tell every time that you talk about it. So thank you for doing that. I'm not going to let you go just
Appreciate
yet.
that.
Have a little bit of rapid fire for you. So I'm
Sure.
curious, what is your favorite book?
I love the Foundation series by
I don't know this.
Isaac Asimov. Oh my, yeah, it's great. That was probably one of my favorite series. I read a lot of books, but I think that's probably one of my favorites. Yeah, we can have
Okay,
long
I'm going to look
conversations
that up.
about books.
And then, yes, and then you can't be in Austin without, having some type of music that you like. So, do you have a favorite song or band?
I love all live music, and so Austin is a great place for that. Like when I want to do something, I go search for live music. There's so anything that's there with that energy, especially with there's a lot of EDM stuff going on with that, which I love. But having the presence of a live saxophone player or somebody there, I just love that. I'm a drummer also, so I just love
Okay.
seeing good jazz drummers and whatnot. I don't have a favorite that I can name, but
Okay.
yeah. So I love live music. Leave it at
Okay.
that.
Last thing. What is some advice that you would give to some person coming into the pump industry?
I would say, join the Hydraulic Institute, number one. I mean, that was it just so revealing for what the industry is doing. Learn so much about it. Get a mentor that's been in the space for a while and see what kind of hurdles that, the industry as a whole or they may have gone through and to learn from them. A lot of the experience that I've garnered over the, last years is a lot of it has been talking to people that's been in that industry, such as yourself. So that's what I would tell them.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again for joining me. It's been a pleasure. I knew you were going to bring it, and you did. So, look forward to seeing you at the next event. And thanks
Sure.
again for being here.
So can I plug one more thing? If you are a
Yes,
pump
absolutely.
OEM and we are currently designing a product specific for you, we already have these standard products that fit, but please reach out to me so I can design in your spec requirements, whether it's IP ratings, environmental temp requirements, mounting control features, etc. Let me know as soon as possible. This product is kicking off, developing Q1 2023. In the meantime, like I said, we have a standard IES product line. We've had success implementing them into pumps already, and we have more on the way. Find me on LinkedIn / Anthony Liu, infinitumelectric.com. Follow us there. We have a YouTube channel with some videos there. So, Charli, thank you again. I appreciate the time, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Absolutely. Yes, y'all get in touch with this very cool engineer. Awesome. Thanks again, Anthony. Well, this brings us to the end of our show. Thanks for listening. Do us a favor, give us a subscribe or a rate and review. We love those 5 stars. So please let us know how we're doing. You can always reach us at Empowering Pumps or using that hashtag Empowering Industry Podcast. And you can always email me too, Charli at empoweringpumps.com or podcast at empoweringpumps.com. And I'll be back every Monday with a new episode. So until then, be empowering.